Good morning, and welcome back for another video. Today, we're going to read a couple of verses out of the Quran. First, I want to introduce a caveat. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not my intent to incite violence against anyone. It is not my intent to express a desire for violence against anyone. This is for your information, so that you can have it. And as they say, knowledge is power. Okay? When it comes to Islam, we in the West are powerless because we have less knowledge about Islam than your average Muslim. I want to change that. I want to have more knowledge about Islam than your average Muslim. And that way, my arguments against Islam will have power. Your arguments against Islam, if you understand it, will also have power in your personal life and when you're dealing with Muslims. So, let's get into the topic of the Muslim invasion, or hijra, that is taking place in Europe. Now, everybody knows, yes, I know it's called immigration or emigration. It's an invasion. Let's just call it what it is. So, out of the verses of the Quran, there are at least 109 of them that are verses of violence against the kafir, or the kuffar, which are the non-Muslims. Now, I'll include a link in the description below to the source that I'm getting this from, and you can read this for yourself. But these are verses that have been compiled out of the Quran. Now, if you go to this site, you can click on each verse, and it will take you to that section of the Quran or the Sunnah of Muhammad, or whichever part of the doctrine of Islam that you would like to read. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to work with two verses here, and we're going to break them down and analyze them a little bit, and this will help us understand why this invasion is taking place. Okay, so let's start with verse 100. Chapter 4, verse 100 out of the Quran. Okay? He who emigrates from his home in the cause of Allah, okay, emigrate mean to leave your homeland and go to a foreign land. He who emigrates from his home in the cause of Allah will find on earth many dwelling places and plenty to live by. And whosoever leaves his home as an emigrant unto Allah and his messenger, and death overtakes him, his reward is then surely incumbent upon Allah, and Allah is ever oft forgiving, most merciful. So, that last part, what does it mean? It means if you're a Muslim and you leave your home and you die on the way, or you die in a foreign land, well, Allah is responsible for ensuring that you get into paradise, right? He's not going to condemn you for getting sick along the way, or dying, or getting attacked and killed in a foreign land, or on your way to a foreign land, okay? So that's the gist of what that means. But let's examine the context. Now, you could say that, and it is often argued, that many of these immigrants, foreign invaders from the Middle East, are economic migrants, right? Coming to another country for a better life, for better opportunity. And yes, that could easily be argued because that is often the case. On the other hand, the part that we Westerners don't consider is the mindset of the person coming. Okay? Now, if you notice, the vast majority of the people coming from the Middle East and invading Europe are not women and children. No, they're young fighting age males, most of whom lie about their age to make themselves come off as much younger. And one of the reasons, I'll just interject this, one of the reasons they do that is so that in the Western mindset, it is more acceptable and palatable when they start going after prepubescent white girls for raping. That is one of the reasons that they lie about their age. You're not going to deal with a person quite as harshly if you think they're only 17 and they go after a 13-year-old girl as you would if you realize that the guy is 27 and going after a 13-year-old girl, right? There's a little bit of a difference there. And you're going to deal with the person a little bit differently if you think they're only 17 than you would if they were 27 doing the same thing. So I'll just throw that in there. So, he who emigrates from his home in the cause of Allah. Now, why in the cause of Allah? Okay, and get this. Any Muslim who emigrates from his home to another, to go to a foreign country, is always doing so in the cause of Allah. That is the first and foremost reason for it. And why is this? Because when Muhammad emigrated from Medina or Mecca to Medina, he did so in the cause of Allah. That was his first and foremost primary reason for doing so. Why is this? Well, if you're familiar with the story of the life of Muhammad, you know that in Mecca, he wasn't very successful in getting a lot of people to follow him. About 150 people after 13 years of preaching the peaceful version of Islam. Well, he got tired of not being successful and decided to become successful. And the way he became successful was he packed up and left, and he went to Medina, and he started using the jihad of the sword to convert people to Islam. And by the time he was done, 9 years later, every Arab in the region, estimated to be about 10,000 people, was a Muslim. So he was 100% successful. He emigrated, left his home, to go to a foreign land, in the cause of Allah. So that is the primary, first and foremost reason that any Muslim emigrates anywhere. So make sure that you let that sink in, and you will understand a little bit more of why these invasions are taking place. Now, let's go on to the next verse. Verse 101. Now, this is in the context of having emigrated, right? We've already left home. We're on our way or already landed at our destination in our foreign land of our choice. And when you Muslims travel in the land, there is no sin on you if you shorten your salat, prayer. Okay, if you shorten your prayer time. If you fear that the disbelievers may attack you, verily, truth be told, that's what verily means, basically, the disbelievers are ever unto you open enemies. Now let that sink in. Obviously, you're going there to someone else's foreign land, to someone else's land, in the cause of Allah. In other words, to forcibly convert them. And then it designates the non-Muslim very clearly as an open enemy, and not just in a specific context or for a limited amount of time. Because it says quite clearly, verily, let me find it, the disbelievers are ever unto you an open enemy. That's very open-ended. It means that under any circumstance, at any point in time, the non-Muslims are an enemy to Muslims. So right there, it designates the purpose for emigration, and it designates who we are to the Muslim. We are ever an open enemy. Now, isn't that nice? If I were to go visit China, and I had the intention of converting the Chinese to Christianity, and the conditions set by my God are such that I need to view the Chinese as ever an open enemy. Do you think that maybe my set of morals might be quite degenerate? That maybe the Chinese might have very good reason to see me as an enemy and to kick me out? I think so. Now, in fact, Christianity has done this very thing, and I have a problem with that just as much as I have a problem with Islam. The difference between Christianity and Islam is that Christianity doesn't necessarily make it incumbent upon a Muslim. In other words, it's not, they don't make it incumbent upon Christians to go invade foreign lands for the purpose of forcibly converting them to Christianity. Islam does. And we've just covered 2 verses that cover that. So the purpose for this video, like I said, is education. And the reason I wanted to share these verses is so that you have knowledge. And as they say, knowledge is power. So anytime you're in an argument with a Muslim or you're debating a topic, bring this one up and say, hey, you're in my country and I understand why you're here and I understand exactly how you see me. I am ever an open enemy unto you because you're in my land, a foreign land to you, and you're here for the purpose of forcibly converting me to Islam. Now, the Muslim might argue against that, say, no, I just want a good job, I just want a better opportunity in life. That may also be true. But it is also true that if they're a little more devout and they understand and have read these verses and internalized them, that their real reason for being here is not just for a better life. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.